Hello everybody, and I am back. I took a little bit of a hiatus, as some of you may know. Needed to sort of check in with my mental health because I was having a bit of a problem. Many of you sent me amazing messages of encouragement and love, and I can't thank you all enough for that. I did release a video a few days ago thanking each and every single one of you who did reach out, and I really appreciate it. But I'm back now, and I'm going to start off with something possibly a little bit predictable, but there is a reason behind it. Now, I'm going to be looking at a band called Old Gods of Asgard, which isn't actually a real band that exists. It's actually Poets of the Fall, which is a band I have covered a great many times on this channel. But Poets of the Fall created this band, Old Gods of Asgard, to provide soundtracks for video games. Like they did several songs for the Alan Wake video game, and they also provided some songs for the game Control, which I just happened to have been playing for the last couple of weeks. The game actually includes the Poets of the Fall song, My Dark Disquiet, which is a song that I absolutely love. But it contains a song called Take Control, which happens when you go into a certain part of the game. Now, I haven't actually done that part of the game yet, so I've not actually heard this song. I've specifically avoided that part of the game just so that I could do this, funnily enough. So, I'm coming back. My first video is going to be a bit predictable. It's going to be one that I don't really have to delve into the lyrics too deeply for because, well, it's based on a video game. The song is based, the lyrics are based around a video game from what I've read very briefly. So I'm just going to jump in, have a look at this song because, I like Poets of the Fall. I've liked the songs they did as Old Gods of Asgard for Alan Wake, so I thought, why not check this one out, since I've been playing the game recently anyway. So, yeah, we'll jump into this song. I've got lyrics here. Like I said, there's not really much delving into it since it's based on a video game. But let's have a look, shall we? So this is Take Control by Old Gods of Asgard, aka Poets of the Fall.
Rising greenery,
there we go. That was Take Control by the Old Gods of Asgard, or Poets of the Fall. Now, I've said on numerous occasions when I've checked out Poets of the Fall how much I love Marco's voice. I think he has one of the most amazing voices in music. And, you know, it's exactly the same here, although there is some variation that we've never heard in Poets of the Fall songs, when he's doing that Take Control bit, or like right at the end where he's saying I control. You know, he's gone in for some sort of harsher, almost growled vocals, which is something very different we've not heard. And this song is actually considerably heavier than a vast majority of Poets of the Fall's music as well. This has got a more sort of metal element, whereas Poets of the Fall would, you know, you'd normally class that as rock. This is like heavy rock bordering on metal. And it's a great piece of music. You know, I love everything that Poets of the Fall have done. And, you know, I've heard the Old Gods of Asgard stuff that they used in Alan Wake. I think I even checked out the song that they did for the end credits of Max Payne 2. I think I've checked that one out. I can't remember. You know, so I've checked out a huge majority of their work by now, but this is one song I hadn't actually checked out, and I did have it suggested. I think actually when I reacted to My Dark Disquiet, people actually mentioned this song in particular. You know, they said that they did this song for it and I should check it out. So, you know, this was a request from a while ago, but it also happens to coincide with the fact that I've been playing the game for the last couple of weeks. And yes, I know I'm late getting to it. The game's like, what, 2-3 years old now, but it was on sale on Steam, so I bought it. And like I said, there's not really much you can discuss about the lyrics, because they're basically talking about the events within the game, so there isn't really a deep meaning to the song. But we'll go through the lyrics anyway. We'll have a quick look at them, even though it was a lyric video. So it says, take control. Take control. I see a vision rising, dreary, fading in as children play twilight games. In the town called Ordinary, an eye of light reveals a gateway to doomsday. You know, it says there, in the town called Ordinary. Obviously, anybody who's played the game knows that the main character of the game, Jessie, comes from a town called Ordinary. And the whole point of the game is she's come to this building called the FBC, the Federal Bureau of Control, because years and years and years ago, her and her younger brother, Dylan, I want to say Dylan? I know it begins with a D, but I can't remember if it's Dylan. Anyway, her and her brother discovered this, let's say, haunted object, which, you know, had a certain effect on people around the town. So the FBC came in, and they basically kidnapped her younger brother and this specific haunted item, shall we say, but Jessie got away. So now she's come to the FBC building several years later to try and get her brother back, because she wants to find out what's happened. Bit of a long-winded explanation for why he said town called Ordinary, but that's the basis of the game. Which also sort of suggests this bit, an eye of light reveals a gateway to doomsday. You know, these haunted items, or objects of power as they're referred to in the game. And it carries on, in that projection of reality, the specific item that they found was a projector. And, you know, projection of reality, the photographs that were put into the projector are essentially projections of reality. Something passes through the stars, shifting walls. Enter agents of ill fantasy, for evil holds you in its arms, false alarms. So the shifting walls, you know, because these objects, they warp reality, and, you know, you could walk down a hallway and then walk back the other way and it'll be a completely different hallway. And that actually happened at the beginning of the game. Confused the living hell out of me because I didn't know what I was expecting. But anyway. Illusory, treading on reality, Polaris in a web of hypocrisy, take control, take control. And there it mentions Polaris. Now, I imagine most people would associate Polaris with either a type of missile or the heavenly body, which I believe it's a star, Polaris. But Polaris is also this sort of... It's this sort of second ethereal form that's that inhabits Jesse and Dylan's body. You know, they have this sort of invisible companion with them that they've called Polaris. It's sort of like a protective force that follows them around or tells them what they should do, indicates where they should go. So that's what Polaris is. Anyway, carries on. Oh, can't you see? See the light is fading, and in the night the demons rage and call your name. No deeper madness than your own making, visions lashing blades of shame, but will you take the blame? Hissing noises in the hallway, bloodshot eyes staring through what seeds are sown. Who'll survive the blood-red power play? Who'll take control? Whose name will be known? Excuse me. Now, said they're hissing noises in the hallways. Now, the bad guys, the enemies within the game, are called the Hiss. You know, because there's this random sound that sort of floats through the air, and it infects people and turns them into these almost zombie-like creatures. And so they are referred to as the Hiss. So hissing noises in the hallway, that's what that is. It says, who'll survive the blood-red power play? Whenever the Hiss sort of manifest, they are accompanied by this bright red light. So, again, that's where that comes in. Anyway, carry on. Illusory, reality's all fallacy. Polaris in a web of hypocrisy. Take control. Take control. So they've actually changed the chorus ever so slightly. Oh, I don't know if it's the chorus, because before it says illusory, treading on reality, this time it says reality's all fallacy. So, you know, they've altered it very slightly. Carries on. I wish I'd had the wherewithal to find you when I had the chance. Instead I danced with death in fervor's skin. I missed the moment before the fall to recognise I had a voice, a choice to stop it all from happening, if only I could save you from the pain. A rising sense of awe and wonder, I see, has always been deep within me. I can feel my inborn power. I call the shots when it's all clear to see, when it's all finally clear to see. And so I'm drawn ever deeper in the oldest house and all these empty rooms, this vacant spellbound mystery motel, where I'm the keeper, where I set the rules. Now there's two references to the game there. It says in the oldest house. The oldest house is the name of the building where the FBC reside. It's basically a building that's outside of reality, and you can't actually find it unless you're specifically looking for it. Like, you could walk past it down the street and you'll never see it unless you're specifically looking for it. So that's the oldest house. But it also refers to a vacant spellbound mystery motel. Now, within the game, there are several occasions where you'll come across a light switch cord, which you have to pull 3 times, and the moment you pull it the 3rd time, you're teleported to this mystery vacant motel, which has got like plays a very important factor within the game, because you visit it many times, and every single time it's ever so slightly different, and you have to solve a different sort of set of puzzles to carry on to where you're trying to get to. So that's where that comes from. And it carries on. Potency is my new reality. Polaris living now inside of me. Again, they've altered that chorus bit ever so slightly. Then rather than saying take control, it says I control, I control, I control. So there you go. Like I said, not incredibly deep because it's talking about a video game. It's basically covering the events of the video game. But, you know, a great piece of music. Like I said, a lot heavier than a lot of Poets of the Fall regular music. But still sounds just as good. Again, Marco's voice is fantastic. The musicianship, again, as always with Poets of the Fall, brilliant. You know, I love their music. You know, I can't get enough of it, and I'm really hoping they're going to release something new soon. But there we go. I don't know really what else I can say about it. You know, it's a song from a video game soundtrack written specifically for the game, about the game. You know, it's not that particularly deep, but a great piece of music nonetheless. But yeah, it's good to be back doing what I'm doing. So hopefully we can carry on from here on out without any further problems, hopefully, because I don't want to have to go through all that again, because it wasn't any fun. But again, I must thank every single person that reached out and offered me love and support in that time, because it really meant the world to me, and it really helped. It really helped me a lot. Now, if anybody would like to make a suggestion for a track for me to react to, then please do so. By all means, you can drop a comment in the comment section below, or message me on my Facebook or my Instagram, or you could even message me through my Patreon, where you could also help to support this channel, which would of course be a massive help to me, because, you know, every single piece of content I create for this video, and for this channel even, gets immediately demonetized, so I make absolutely nothing from what I'm doing. Which is a little bit frustrating, but, you know, it is what it is. There's an option in Patreon where you can get your suggestion jumped to the front of the queue, should you so desire it. There's a limit on how frequently you can do that, but that's just to be fair to people who make comments, suggestions through more regular means, such as, you know, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram comments. If you do make a suggestion through more regular means, do know it could take me a while to get around to your suggestion, because, well, after taking about a month off, I've got a huge backlog, and I do get suggested so many new songs every single day that my list grows faster than I can record the videos. But I do write down every suggestion I get, so it should, in theory, get done eventually. It just might take me a while to get around to it. Also, MetalHead Reacts is a proud supporter of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, a British-based charity whose goal is to put an end to hate crimes. And one of the main facets of that is hate crimes against people of the alternative culture. And that's something I believe in very, very strongly, something I am very, very passionate about. And it's something I've had to deal with for most of my life, as have many of my friends and family. And it's just the fact of people getting violently attacked purely for the simple fact that they listen to alternative music. You know, we're not just talking about, like, names being shouted from across the street, or, you know, getting shoulder rammed as you're, you know, minding your own business, walking wherever. We're talking about real, brutal, violent crimes where people are getting brutalized and hospitalized, sometimes with broken limbs, and sometimes even more life-threatening injuries over something as simple as their taste in music or clothing. And this is something that it never gets spoken about. You know, not enough attention gets put on this. You know, the last time there was any real widespread conversation about this was about 14 years ago, when Sophie Lancaster and her boyfriend Rob Maltby were violently and brutally assaulted by a group of 5 or 6 people who beat them, kicked them, punched them, knocked them to the ground, and stamped on their heads so violently that they both ended up in comas. Now, Rob Maltby, he did thankfully survive the attack. He was in a coma for about a week and a half, maybe a little bit longer, can't remember exactly, but he did thankfully survive. Sophie Lancaster, on the other hand, was in a coma for 13 days before she succumbed to her injuries and she died. This young woman was 20 years old and was beaten to death just purely for the fact that she listened to alternative music and wore alternative fashion. Now, when this happened, this was all over the news, as rightfully it should have been. And as all things do, you know, eventually it faded into the background as other news stories came in, which is fine. But in the 14 years since that's happened, there's been no widespread talk of this sort of thing. The most recent thing, really, was there was a few episodes of, was it Coronation Street, I think it was. They covered this topic in on their soap opera with the help of the Sophie Lancaster Foundation. But I don't know how many people watch that. But again, you know, that sort of thing, you know, it's on the TV show, it's fair enough, and it is helping to bring awareness to the fact. But the fact of the matter is, we shouldn't have to wait 14 years between, you know, having this conversation. Now, in the 14 years since what happened to Sophie Lancaster, there have been hundreds, if not thousands, of similar incidents that have never been spoken about. A couple of years ago, a young woman in Glasgow, Scotland, was running a charity gig, and at one point during the evening, for whatever reason, she had to go back to her home, which was a 5-minute walk away. In the time between leaving the venue and going to her home, she was assaulted twice, again by a group of 5 or 6 people who beat her, kicked her, punched her, knocked her to the ground, and continued to violently beat her. And this happened twice within a very short amount of time. This wasn't in the news. This wasn't in the newspapers. This wasn't all over Facebook or, you know, whatever else. Nothing was said. I spoke to another young woman who told me about the fact that when she was at school, some of the students lit her hair on fire because she listened to alternative music. And the teacher said it was her own fault for not fitting in. This is the sort of thing we're having to deal with, and nothing's getting said and nothing's getting done. And by ignoring it and, you know, just brushing it under the carpet and treating it like no big deal, it's only going to make more people do it. It's going to make these people think they can get away with it. And it'll only be a matter of time before what happened to Sophie Lancaster, happens again. And we simply can't allow that. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to lose their life before something gets done. We shouldn't have to wait for someone to die before we talk about this. So if you'd like to find out more about the Sophie Lancaster Foundation, there's a link to their website in the description below. You can go over there, find out what they're working on at the moment, find out what their overall goal is, because they can explain it a hell of a lot better than I can. And if you can help them out in any small way, obviously don't feel obligated to do so, but if you can help them out in any small way, whether it be a small donation through their website or something as simple as one of these Sophie wristbands, or maybe even that one. They've got a whole bunch of other really cool stuff available over on their web store. You know, the smallest amount can make the biggest difference. And the sooner we get more people talking about this, the sooner we bring more attention to this, the sooner we can help to stamp out prejudice, hatred, and intolerance everywhere. But I'm going to leave that as it is for the time being. Thank you all very, very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.